In our previous parts, we've looked at some basics for analysis of data. So we've looked at how you can find the mean, median, mode, range, and what things to look out for in dangerous situations. Now, dangerous situations don't just come from looking at analysis of data. They come from charts as well. Take, for example, the following chart. Okay. Now, the following chart shows, I'm afraid, something bad. It shows drownings in the UK. Look at what happens on that chart. Well, it looks scary, doesn't it? It looks like this bar chart has increased in a humongous way. Now, in reality, until I label the axes here, you've got no idea what the scale is. It could be, this is, for example, 5, this is 10, this is 15. It could be 50, 100 and 150. So it could be an increase of 100. In reality, it could be something much, much smaller. So people will draw bar charts, and people will draw all kinds of charts to suggest relationships that should scare you. And we'll look at more of those as we go through different types of charts and different ways of representing or showing data. So watch out for this. Now, let's look at a simple representation of data. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you here what's called a frequency polygon. And the first thing you need to know is the name is misleading because it's not even a polygon. A frequency polygon will look something like this. It will be designed to show you a pattern of what's happening across a variable. For example, it could do this. If you look at the dotted one, or it could do this. Now you can see what we've got here is 3 different lines. We've got one that's kind of steady. So this thing that's being measured over time, let's say it's how late people are to work. It could be that it's steady over the course of, say, 10 minutes. It could be that it drops off. So some people are late by 1 or 2 minutes, but not many people are late by a lot. As time increases, it goes down, or it could increase. So actually, as you look at people being later and later, it happens more and more. Now, the shape of these is what I was really after here. You can see here that a frequency polygon is a connected set of points. And it's not a polygon because it doesn't join up with the axes. It doesn't make a shape. So, your question now is, this seems easy enough. We have frequency on this axis and we have some variable on the other axis. How do we plot it? Well, if you think about this data, something must be different to a bar chart. And the answer is, it's the way the information is kept. So frequency polygons are used in the following situations. See if you can remember what the word is. Okay, the word is grouped data. Well done if you picked that. So here is a set of grouped data. It's grouped because these three pieces have been grouped together in here, and we don't know the actual time for any of them. So here's how you draw a frequency polygon. And the fact that it's freehand won't make any difference because this is quite straightforward. Okay. When you do your graphs, you should always have squared paper. You should always make sure you are accurate. So, my scale for time goes up in 4s. Make sure you label your axis. And my scale for frequency goes up in 1s. So here's how you actually draw the frequency polygon. So, because you're covering this range, the best place to draw it is actually to plot your point at this value. So, that's the midpoint. So we go to the midpoint of the interval and plot. The midpoint of the next one is 6. So we go to 6 and go up to a frequency of 7 and plot. And then we connect those points with a straight line with a ruler. Next one is 8 to 18 and the middle is 13. So 8 is here and 18 is here. The gap is 10. So you want to go 5 in to find the middle. So 13, a frequency of 2. There we go. And 18 to 20, so the middle is 19, has a frequency of 1. And that is how you draw a frequency polygon. So you take the interval, you plot the midpoint of the interval against the frequency, and then you connect them up with straight lines. Now, where a frequency polygon is really useful is as a visualization to describe what's different between two situations. So, for example, next to this I'm going to put a second frequency. So let's make the first one girls and boys, and this could be time it takes to walk to school, let's say. Look at the table now and see what does the data show. Well, it should show quite clear that boys seem to be taking longer. Let's visualise that. So in the first interval, plotting at the midpoint, it's 2. At the second interval, it's 6, it's 4. The next interval, at 13, it's up to 10. Goes off my scale, but you can see. And the last interval, it's at 5 still. So what you've got here is a very different distribution, a very different graph. You can see girls tend to be short and then tail off. Boys tend to be much later or take longer. So it's a good visual way of showing what I described here in words and what you spotted, well done, about girls versus boys. So, in the next part of the video, we're going to look at other ways of showing data which has two variables. I'm going to come into what is the most important of those. But I warn you, we are going to have to talk about some very scary issues and how ice cream is bad for your health. It could cause you to die.